Welcome back to Nursing the Nation. I'm Jamie.
And I'm Melissa Ann.
Today we're stepping back into the studio for another bonus episode. However, uh, unfortunately, it's because some events are just too heavy, too urgent to wait for our season two scheduled release, which we have been, working on and towards. Um, so,
Yeah, that's right, Jamie.
yeah.
As nurses, we're taught to prioritize based on the severity of the situation. It's called triage. Right now, our community and our profession are in a state of acute crisis. The gravity of what happened this weekend in Minneapolis demands our immediate attention, not just as podcasters, but as advocates for the human element in a very turbulent world.
Yeah, I'm going to try to get through this recording without being too much of a mess, but I feel like already I'm going to fail at that um, because yesterday, we're recording this on Sunday, um, we lost one of our own. Um, and we lost Alex Jeffrey Pretti, um, who was basically lost in the line of his civic duty, doing what nurses do. And so we wanted to record, kind of hold this space with you all right now to process, to grieve, and to find a way to kind of move forward together. So, Alex, again, he was shot January 24th, 2026, in Minneapolis, Minnesota. He was 37 years old. He was shot by U.S. Border Patrol officers. Alex wasn't a stranger to the local community. He was an ICU nurse at the local VA hospital in Minneapolis. He was a son, a former Boy Scout, an avid outdoorsman, a dog lover, um, a man who spent his days saving the lives of veterans. Veterans, our our veterans, and he's given so much um, to the people who have gave us so much to live in a country of freedom and liberty.
Yes. Alex Jeffrey Pretti was killed just over a mile from where Renee Good was killed by ICE agents only weeks ago. His father, Michael Pretti, said of his son this, quote, he cared about people deeply, and he was very upset with what was happening in Minneapolis and throughout the United States with ICE, as millions of other people are upset. He thought it was terrible, kidnapping children, just grabbing people off the street. He cared about those people, and he knew it was wrong, so he did participate in protests. Alex was out on the streets yesterday protesting that violence. Reports from the Department of Homeland Security claim he approached officers with a firearm, but bystander video shows Alex holding a phone in one hand and using the other to shield a woman from pepper spray. His family says he was a peaceful man, a healer, who simply couldn't sit by while he saw what he called organized brutality in his city.
Yeah. So, Melissa, and my mind has been swirling since yesterday. Um, this hit me hard, clearly.
Yeah,
And when we hear ICU nurse, like you and I, we know exactly what that means.
right.
Um, and it means he was someone who handles the highest level of pressure. He's someone who stays calm, for instance, when a patient is crashing, critically ill. He's someone who advocates for people who can't speak for themselves.
It's devastating. As nurses, we are trained to preserve life at all costs. So to see a colleague, someone who likely spent his last week saving the lives of and
Mm-hmm.
comforting veterans, be executed in the street in broad daylight by officers of the very government he worked for, it's really a visceral blow.
Yeah, yep. It feels personal. When I learned that he was a nurse, whew, yeah, it hit hard. Like I said, we as nurses are taught that our nursing license and our duty as nurses doesn't just like turn off when we clock out. I mean, I can speak for myself in the sense that, yes, I can like clock out like mentally. But if
Mm,
there was something to present in front of me that would need me to attend as a nurse, I would.
right.
It's our sense of duty. This is what we are trained to do. We
Yeah.
carry it everywhere. And Alex was doing exactly what nurses are trained to do. He was there to protect and aid the vulnerable when a situation arises that he's just naturally kicked in and did. This is what nurses do. This is what is so difficult for me because he was shot and killed for it.
Yeah.
And so it really makes you feel very unsafe, just not just as a citizen, but like as a healthcare worker, as a caregiver, as a nurse.
Yeah. Some people might ask, why was a nurse out there in the middle of a protest? But,
Because we
you know,
are.
if you look at the ANA Code of Ethics for Nurses, Alex was actually fulfilling his professional mandate.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. Provision 9, and Melissa and I have talked about this in the past in other episodes. Um, so, Provision 9 of the code, it states the provision of, oh gosh, I'll back up. So, the Provision 9 of the code states the profession of nursing, collectively through its professional organizations, must articulate nursing values, maintain the integrity of the profession, and integrate principles of social justice into nursing and health policy.
Our duty isn't just at the bedside, it's in the community. The American Nurses Association released a statement yesterday regarding Alex's death that really underscores this. They said the American Nurses Association condemns violence in our communities. 1 in 4 nurses already experience workplace violence. As incidents with federal law enforcement continue to rise, we are deeply concerned for the safety of nurses, both on the job and in the communities they serve. Nurses are advocates for the safety and well-being of their communities. They enter this profession to heal, to protect human life, and to show up for people in their most vulnerable moments.
Right. And Alex showed up. He translated his ICU advocacy to the streets of Minneapolis. He was living the code.
We're hearing a lot of heavy words in the news right now, organized brutality, secret police, and fascism. We want to take a minute to define these terms so you can understand the gravity of the situation our nation is currently facing.
Right. So, simply put, fascism is a far-right authoritarian political ideology that is characterized by the elevation of one powerful leader who desires and seeks total control. They use police or military to stop anyone who disagrees with them, and they put the power of the nation above the rights of individual people. So when federal agents are deployed against the wishes of local governors, like we're seeing in Minnesota, this is a hallmark of fascism.
Right. So, what can regular, everyday Americans do to fight fascism? Well, we can't just continue to stay in a state of shock. We need a plan. This is really happening. This morning, I read Field Notes for Cracking an Empire by Jackie Summers, a Caribbean American living in Brooklyn, who, among many other things, is a James Beard finalist, renowned public speaker, and fierce advocate for marginalized people. This essay that he wrote is the manual I believe we all need right now. We will link to his essay in our show notes, and we encourage you to visit Jackie Summers on Substack today. But for now, we would like to use our platform to elevate Mr. Summers' essential advice. Jackie Summers makes a hard point. The circle of safety that many Americans felt protected by is gone. It doesn't matter anymore who you are, not even if you are a, quote, respectable professional,
Yep.
or a white person,
Yep.
or even a legal American citizen. No one is safe when the government has turned against its people in the way the Trump administration has turned against the American people. The empire only responds to empathy at scale. We have to move from outrage to organized action.
Exactly. So if you're going to take it to the streets, Jackie gives us 4 lanes. They stress that you don't have to be in the front lines to help, which is good because that's where I was feeling helpless. Melissa and I, we've talked about this. Like, what can we feasibly do? Because I can speak for myself. I feel very compelled to do something, but I also feel extremely helpless. I'm not a spring chicken. I can't run. I have a daughter and responsibilities and a desire to live a very long life. And the things that I might have done at 25, I can't do now. So, what is there left for me to do? Because I
Right.
can tell you, I also have been nonstop contacting my, you know, the New Hampshire congressional caucus, basically, um, over the last year, more and more as time goes on at this point. Anyhow, um, Jackie gives us some ideas here and through what they call like kind of 4 lanes. So the first lane are the helpers. So these are the people who give like personal individual assistance. The support can be like verbal, emotional, which let me tell you, as a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner, that is very important.
Right.
Those do really help. You can give support, financially. Not everybody can go out, but as Jackie says, anyone can be someone to come home to.
Right.
The second lane are the advocates. These are people who can use their. Hold on. I'm going to have to start that one again. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The second lane are the advocates. These are people who can use their positions within the systems to change them. The third lane are the organizers. These are the big picture visionaries who can like bring resources and talents together to make a difference in the communities. Think like early Barack Obama. I'm just trying to fantasize of a different time, bringing up Obama. And then lastly, the fourth lane are the rebels. And these are the brave people bringing the energy and taking it basically to the streets, taking all the risks.
Yeah. Jackie Summers also gives some very important advice for anyone who actually does a plan to attend a protest. And I again encourage
Mm.
you all to visit his Substack. It's so good, and we're going to link to it in the show notes. But number one, he says no solo missions. Go with a pod of 2 to 5 people, and never leave anyone alone. If someone has to leave, someone goes with them.
Yeah.
Number two is digital safety. Disable your Face ID and fingerprint on your phone so that somebody can't use your face or finger to get into your phone. Instead, use a strong passcode. Number three is bring physical prep, right? Bring your ID, bring enough water, bring a fully charged cell phone with a battery pack, bring food, write
Mm-hmm.
emergency contacts on your skin in Sharpie permanent marker.
Yes.
Number four is know your line. Decide before you go if you are willing to be arrested. If a dispersal order is given, have an exit plan. Number five is recording. If you film, stand back. Don't interfere. Stay clearly, I am recording for safety. Send those clips to a trusted friend immediately so they don't exist only on your phone. But again, make no mistake,
Mm-hmm.
even when you follow these quote rules,
Yeah.
your life is still at risk. So
Yes.
anybody saying people who are getting shot or people who are getting detained are not following the rules, they're wrong
Right.
because these protests have largely been peaceful. And it is our right as Americans to film law enforcement activity. And most importantly, again, this isn't a guarantee of your safety, unfortunately, but de escalate. Don't play the hero. We need people to stay alive, to vote, to organize, and to show up at city council meetings tomorrow. If you are looking to educate yourself, I also encourage you to study Black history. Black communities have been navigating this fire for generations. And
Mm.
I'm going to recommend a book called The Black Anti-Fascist Tradition, Fighting Back from Anti-Lynching to Abolition by Hope and Mullen. And I'm going to link that in our show notes.
Mm. And we also want to speak directly to those of you who have supported this administration in the past, because we are not here to lecture you. We are here to talk to you as fellow citizens. And as nurses, we really, truly have seen the best and the worst of humanity.
There is a specific kind of privilege in being able to look away,
Mm-hmm.
to turn the channel, to scroll past the headline,
Yep.
to convince yourself that life as you know it, right? And I'm speaking directly to white people here. As a white person living in a rural community, that's not protection for you anymore. To convince yourself that life as we know it will just keep going on as usual is a fool's errand.
Yeah. We really have to be honest about what we are seeing here. American citizens are being murdered in the streets by their own government. This isn't just like a law and order issue. It's quite literally like the shredding of our constitutional rights. They're dissolving in real time under the boots of a militarized force that's acting without any accountability.
If you supported this path initially because you wanted security, I understand. I'm a mother of 3 young children. I understand that you want security. And if somebody is telling you that they are saving you from criminals and rapists and drug traffickers,
Mm-hmm.
I can understand why you initially supported this path. But please look at these videos and ask yourself, do I feel secure? Please believe your own eyes when
Mm.
you watch these videos and not the propaganda that is being put up all over social media. Please watch these videos with your own eyes. Ask yourself, do I feel secure? When a nurse can't shield a woman from pepper spray without being tackled, pistol whipped, and shot and murdered in the streets in broad daylight, none of us are safe. Alex Pretti and Renee Good were not domestic terrorists. They were
Yeah.
regular, everyday Americans like you and like me. ICE has even targeted off-duty police officers just because they are people of color.
Yeah.
If you care about the safety of our police, listen to the Minneapolis police chief. We are going to link to an interview he did with NPR in our show notes where he is pleading with ICE to stop the violence because it is making it impossible as police officers to keep their communities safe, which these police officers are trying desperately to do. Okay? ICE has now murdered a white mother with stuffed animals poking out of her glove box and a white male nurse shielding a woman from pepper spray, holding a cell phone in his hand. The safe group and the endangered group are now the same circle.
Right. So we want you to know something important. You are allowed to say no. You're allowed at any point to look at this situation and say, I can no longer support this. It's okay to change your mind. There are many times I will say, and very likely because I am a nurse and have the privilege of experiencing life through that lens, be able to come and change my mind and say, okay, I was wrong the first time around. I see it this way now. I can see what is right. And that's okay to do. There's nothing wrong in that level of defeat.
It makes you
And
very brave to say,
yeah,
I was wrong.
yeah. I
I
mean,
can think of 100 million times where I was wrong in the way that
yep.
I judged somebody or
Mm-hmm.
in what I thought
Yeah,
was going on.
yeah. Same. So even if you voted for it, even if you've defended it in the last month or last week, even if you're still unsure about like the actual politics, you can still look at this violence and say, this has gone too far.
In nursing, if a treatment is harming the patient, we stop. We don't keep going just because that was the original plan.
Right.
We reassess. We pivot. The best time to have said no may have been yesterday, but the second best time is right now, this very second.
Right. So we ask, don't look away. Lean into the discomfort. I can tell you, I have people in my life who, the second any of these conversations come up and it gets uncomfortable
Mm-hmm.
for whatever reason for people, they pivot and change the topic. And I will tell you, it's frustrating because we need to lean into this discomfort. We need to listen to it because it is your humanity telling you something is wrong. We are urging you to pick up the phone today. We want you to call your representatives, tell them that you are demanding that they block the Department of Homeland Security and ICE funding. There's a bill right now moving through the Senate this week. Tell them that American blood on American streets is a line that cannot be crossed, at least not any further or anymore.
Anymore,
And
yeah.
at least denounce the violence to your family and friends and on social media. Let people know you are against this. Take a public stand against violence. We really need to make empathy, not fear, empathy, contagious.
You are not betraying a side by choosing humanity. You are protecting the pulse of this nation that claims to be the home of the free. Because no one is truly free when masked secret police can kick down your door without a judicial warrant, ransack and destroy your home, drag your neighbors out into the brutal cold, beat them and hold them in glorified concentration camps. Immigration violations are a civil offense. Even if you believe that you want to crack down on immigration, immigration violations are a civil offense, not a criminal offense punishable by torture or death.
Right. So, to our fellow nurses, and basically to anybody listening, the loss of Alex Pretti is a wound on the soul of our profession and our country. Christ, why can't I get through this?
It's hard. No, I know. I get it.
But wounds can heal, and they'll heal if they're cleaned and they're treated with care. So don't let your fear turn into paralysis. Let it turn into something courageous, empathetic. Look at your neighbors, look at your colleagues. Realize we are all in this together.
Well said, Jamie. I personally, my last thoughts, I want to conclude our episode today by speaking directly to anyone who identifies as a Christian or a follower of the teachings of Jesus Christ. So if you can bear with me for a moment. As someone who was raised Catholic, I spent decades of my life in pews hearing the stories of a man who was himself a refugee and a victim of state violence. I want to remind you that according to all four Gospels, Jesus Christ staged a disruptive prophetic protest in the Jerusalem temple during his final week before he was executed. He overturned the tables of money changers and seats of those selling doves in the temple courts, shouting that they had turned his father's house of prayer into a den of robbers. For those of you wondering where Jesus would be today, I can promise you, he would be on the front lines of these protests against ICE. In the 90s, there was an acronym that was very popular. I had a t-shirt that said WWJD. What would Jesus do? When ICE agents grab people off the street or tear children from their parents, they are doing it to the very person you claim to worship. You cannot separate your faith from how you treat the stranger at the gate. We are taught as Christians to love our neighbor. But remember that when Jesus defined neighbor, he used the Good Samaritan, an outcast who stopped to provide life-saving care while the respectable leaders walked past. Alex Pretti was that Samaritan. He didn't walk past. He used his hands to shield the suffering. To my brothers and sisters in Christ, you cannot serve two masters. You cannot follow the Prince of Peace while cheering for a force that kills healers in the streets. Jesus didn't say welcome the stranger only if they have the right paperwork. He simply said welcome them. I am begging you to return to the heart of the gospel. Jesus calls on us to repent. But what does that really mean? Repentance is a fundamental change of mind, heart, and way of life, going beyond simple regret to a profound spiritual transformation or reorientation. You can change your mind today. Don't let your faith be used as a shield for cruelty. Stand with the healers. Stand with the strangers. Please, I'm begging you to stand with the truth.
Yeah. So remember that if nurses can be killed for doing exactly what they're trained to do, which, by the way, has earned us the top spot in the public's trust as one of the most ethical professions in our country for, I think, something like the 19th year in a row, according to the Gallup polls. Basically, this means none of us are safe. We need to do something, all of us. Consider what, Melissa brought up in regard to Jackie Summers' 4 lanes. Take one of these lanes. You can also, like I've said before, call your representatives. I can tell you I've already done so, and I can share the script that I used. I'll put that up in the Substack. You can use it verbatim, or you can edit it to make it work for your own talking points. And I also ask for you to stop having conversations around the details of these deaths, because really none of those details matter.
Right.
Whether someone had a gun on them or no gun, whether they were there videoing what was going on, whether they were there with whistles and making noise alerts for others, these are all protected rights that we have. So it doesn't matter whether any of that was there or not. And I want you to consider this point. What does it say when the NRA actually makes a statement that clearly supports Alex Pretti's right to legally carry a firearm? So you heard me right. Hell must be a little chilly right now, but the NRA certainly made a statement on Twitter, or formerly X, formerly known as Twitter. They tweeted a response to a U.S. district attorney out of California who stated that if you approach law enforcement with a gun, then law enforcement has the legal justification to shoot you. And so the NRA turned around and said, and I'm going to read this verbatim, "This sentiment from the first assistant U.S. attorney for the Central District of California is dangerous and wrong. Responsible public voices should be awaiting full investigation, not making generalizations and demonizing law-abiding citizens." So please consider that if the Department of Homeland Security is willing to kill its citizens and kidnap children, ship those children off to a different state to lure their supposed criminal parents out of hiding, imagine what they're doing in the dark. 11 years ago, people in my life told me I was being crazy. I was overthinking. I was being dramatic. But I saw the writing on the wall back then. And, all the gaslighting that is often told to women who speak up and speak out. I'm salty about that. I'll just put it that way. And I hope now that people can see with their own eyes what's happening and feel how wrong it all is. And then do something.
And with that, Alex Pretti, may you rest in peace and power.
This concludes our episode today. Stay safe. Stay outraged. Do something with it, though. Do something constructive. Keep showing up for each other. If you're going out, your first job is coming home. And if you're staying home, your first job is to stay human.
We hope you found this episode informative and thought-provoking, and we plead with you today to share it with your family and friends. If you are compelled, contact your local federal government representatives to hold DHS accountable for these actions.
So thank you for tuning in to Nursing the Nation. I'm Jamie Bourgeois.
And I'm Melissa Ann DuBois. We will see you again soon for the launch of our second season. Until next time.